welcome back to the Cabbage Patch. I'm Dad.
I'm Tommy.
And I'm Gus.
All right, and today we played Deep Blue. And I can show you the box, but the box is currently holding all the pieces because it's complicated. This is a game for up to five players, and it's a game of searching the ocean for buried or for sunken treasure, right?
Yes.
So the board starts off with tiles, like you can see here. The red tiles are all turned over. They're the advanced ones. The yellow ones are starter tiles, which have dive values on them. So the idea is, I'm going to put this one here just for example. The idea is you start off in the port way over here. I think
we
you
have
can
red
see
tiles?
that. Yeah. So the red tiles are these. See the red buoys?
Oh.
And the yellow ones have yellow buoys. So the yellow ones are the beginner area, and the red ones are the advanced area. And the point of the game is to sail around the ocean, turn over the tiles, and see what sort of sunken treasure is there. And the sunken treasure tiles have all sorts of different fun things on them. Some of them have spaceships, some of them have sunken wrecks, some of them have things that weird-looking treasure things. Some of them have just plain pirate ships on them, right?
And some of them
have, yes?
special.
Well, we'll get to the special thing in a second because that's how you win.
And
So,
Gus didn't give Dad your first.
That's okay. Leave them there. So the way the game works is each player can do one thing on their turn. And that one thing is you start out with a hand of cards that are specific to your ship. So you each get 4 cards that are specific to your ship. And those are your crew. And the crew can do different things. If you can see this card's got a propeller on it. This card's got a propeller or money on it. This card's got money or a treasure on it. And this card has money or a treasure on it. So the idea is you use your propeller cards to move out of port into one of the places where you can dive. Right? Because you're trying to get to a place where there's sunken treasure. Right? So you spend propeller cards to move. And you've got 2 ships to move around. So you don't just have the one boat. You can see over here all of our boats are out in the ocean. I was blue, Gus was purple, Tommy was green. All of our boats were over here on this last piece that we'll talk about in a second, trying to get that last bit of treasure. So you move your ships to a place where there might be treasure. And then, do you remember what you can do when you get to a place that there's treasure and it's your turn?
What? You can dive.
You can dive. And the way the dive...
Brain kind of made it
Yeah. The way the dive mechanic works is you've got these little colored gems. And I think you can see these on the screen. And the colored gems are, there's green ones, there's blue ones, there's silver ones, there's gold ones.
And there's black.
And there's black ones and there's red ones. And throughout the course of the game, more gems go into the bag depending on what happens over here. We'll talk about buying crew. But when you reach the place where you dive, you reach into this bag and you pull out 2 gemstones, right? And these 2 gemstones were a gold and a silver. And there's only a certain number of gemstones in here. What stops a dive?
If you get too many blues or blacks.
Too many blues or blacks. So you keep drawing. Wish we'd gotten those while we were playing the game. There's a blue. So as soon as you get a blue, that's a warning. Blue stands for oxygen. So that means my oxygen is about to run out. If I were to draw another blue,
You will perish.
which I just did, the dive is over. Unless I had a card that could counteract that. And we'll talk about that in a second. The dive is over and I don't get any of the treasure. Right? But you keep drawing these tokens until you are done drawing, and you don't want to risk making another mistake, or you get 2 blues or 2 blacks, and the blacks are
Sea monsters.
sea creatures, right? So sharks and octopus and giant squids and that sort of thing. So the dive mechanic is such that when you get to a place where there's treasure, you want to only pull out as many stones as you need to win the day. And you can stop at any time. So if you pull out 2 gold, or a gold and a red one and a silver, a gold and a silver one, or a red one rather. I can't speak. I could stop right there, right, and then I would win the token. So if that was this piece right here, I would win the 3 victory points that are on the token, plus whatever bonuses I got from the gems, right? So I would win 3 plus 4 because I got a red one, and then the silver one didn't do me any good. While you're on a dive site, your cards also can play a role in how much treasure you get. So if you look at Gus's Purple Calypso, that's the name of his ship card. This card he can play after, if he's on the same dive site that I am, he can play this card, and for every gold nugget that's drawn, he gets 2 victory points. Right? So that's sort of the point, right? You're sailing around the ocean to do these dives. Now, there's a couple of other mechanics that are important. We've talked about the dive. We've talked about moving. You can buy crew, and the crew cards do different things. Some of the crew cards do... So for every purple gem that's drawn, so if you're on a dive, and your ship is there on that dive, and you draw a purple gem, you can play this card, and that'll get you 5 victory points if the dive is successful. What makes a dive unsuccessful?
If you draw too many blues or blacks.
If you draw too many blues or blacks.
Didn't we already do this?
We did. So, but that's a successful. So if I play this card, and there's one of these that's been drawn, I'll get 5 victory points, unless the dive is not successful. So that whole success thing with drawing too many tokens drives whether or not you win any extra victory points. There are other cards that prevent sea monsters from hurting you, and there are cards that prevent oxygen from running out. So as long as you, as you're doing that, you draw, 2 oxygens, but if you play a blue card after you draw that, you don't have to end the dive. Right? And let's see, what's the last thing that's important about these cards?
They also act as movement.
They also act as movement. We talked about, absolutely. The last thing about the cards is on some cards there's a money symbol.
And you can use that to buy.
And instead of moving or diving, you can buy
extra cards.
More crew. All right, and I'm not sure you can see down here, not quite. There are 4 face-up cards, 1, 2 2s, and a 3, and then the face-downs are 4. So if you can take these cards, see how this has I think you can see this has a $2 bill on it, right? This has a $1 bill. During your turn, instead of diving or moving, you can choose to take these cards and put them in your discard pile on your ship token, your ship card. You put these in the discard pile, you spend the $3, and then you can take one of these cards. And then that makes your hand bigger, which makes it easier for you to be successful in the dives or move around. So the cards do movement, and the cards let you get more cards. And the last thing you can do on your turn is what? Do you remember? Rest. And after you've spent a bunch of cards moving or diving or buying things, you're going to have a bunch of guys. You'll see at the bottom of this, it's got a little bunk symbol. These are you discard. You're not really discarding. You're putting them in the rest area. And on your turn, instead of moving or diving or buying something, you can choose to rest, which means that you take 3 cards from your rest area and you put them back in your hand. So it's about card management. It's about tempting fate with drawing tokens. And how do you win?
You get the most money points, or
right. you get the most money points, but there are also 4 special tiles that are over here in the red area that you discover.
They have like a compass thing on
They
them.
have a compass thing, and they're the part of the lost city. So you have to find all 4 of those tiles, and when the last dive site is successfully completed, and you get that 4th tile, like we did here,
The game ends and you count up your
the
points.
game ends and you count up your money. Right? So you get money for the gems that you pull out, you get money for taking the tiles, you get extra money if you play cards during a dive, and that's it. And that's the game. Right? What rule did we forget while we were playing?
Just this game or the game before?
Either one. Doesn't matter.
Last game we forgot to put the little, like the diving bell. Yeah.
Yeah, the diving bell. That's
Yeah,
a good point. The dive bell's got to move around. So when you decide that you're going to dive on a wreck, you put the dive bell there, and any other ships that are one space away
Can join if they like.
join there. And there's one more thing that we forgot. And then on each of the dive sites, for a person that moves there on purpose, they can occupy one of the corners here. And if you see on here, there's different symbols on that wreck. You see that? There you go. One is money, one is gold, and one is rubies.
And
And if you occupy,
you get a bonus.
you get a bonus if the dive is successful. So on this one, you get 10 victory points if somebody draws a red ruby from the dive and the dive is successful. This one gets an extra 5 for any gold tokens, and this one gets an extra 3 for any silver tokens. So the points can rack up pretty quick. So that's one thing we forgot. So you put the diving bell on there, and then people that are close by can swarm to the dive site. What else did we forget? Anything else? What other rule was important?
No. Plus, I don't think we forgot.
Yeah, I think
Well, we did kind of forget to replace the cards.
So every time when you buy a new crew member, you take that crew member, you put it in your hand, and these crew cards move down, and the next one from the deck gets turned over. And if that one is a colored gem, like this one's green, you take a green token out of here. There's a reserve treasure pile over here, and you take a correspondingly colored token and you put it in the bag. So as you buy more crew, more tokens end up in this treasure bag, which makes it less likely for you to draw a black or a blue. I think that's it. Did you like it?
Mm-hmm.
This is the second time we played it, isn't it? Yeah. I think it's a little more fun with more than 3 players. But I still think it's a lot of fun. And at the end of the game, when you find that 4th sunken city, all your treasures go in these little plastic treasure boxes.
They're really cool.
And they're really cool. And then you count up how much treasure you have and who won.
You. Mine?
Yeah,
I was
mine.
second. Gus was third.
So I won. This is the first ship game that we played that I've won.
Was this one mine?
That was mine. So I thought that was pretty cool too. I finally won a game. How many cabbages, Gus, would you give it?
2.
2? Solid 2?
Actually, maybe 2.5.
Okay, well, that's interesting. How about you?
Yeah, it deserves at least a 2.5.
Okay. Really? So if I give it a 3, then that'll be 8 cabbages.
Well, a 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 plus 2.5, that's 5 plus 3 is 8. So it's
No.
at least 7.
5.5?
No,
It's at least 7.
it's at least 7, if not 8 cabbages. It's a pretty good game. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the review. It's a pretty simple game to learn. It does take a little bit to get started, but I like it. I like it a lot. So I think I'm going to stick with a 3. We're going to make this an 8. I like this game.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
All right. So that said, that's it. Who wants to do the outro?
Subscribe, like, hit that bell, Tom.
Leave a comment if you wish.
Eat plenty of cabbages, not us though.
And we'll see you next time.
Cannibalism.
Happy cannibalism. And we'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.